Hello, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today we're going to be looking at some Am I the A-hole stories, so let's go. Am I the a-hole for asking my upstairs neighbor not to wake us up with loud coitus in the middle of the night? Okay. I've been woken up several times a week, sometimes keeping me up for hours. Oh, wow. Their bed creaks, bangs against the floor, plus they moan loudly. I wrote a note asking them to try to keep it down when doing it in the middle of the night. I'm a student and work early. She said she would tighten the bed screws. That's such an awkward conversation to have. But that because we live in an old building, we're going to hear neighbors from time to time. I've lived in old apartments before and know this. However, I also feel that means trying to respect the complex's quiet times, 8 p.m., 7 a.m. on weekdays. I don't mind noise outside these times. When are they supposed to do it outside of these times? But okay. I don't mind noise outside of these times, but being woken up on a regular basis is a complete lack of respect and a clear violation of the rules. I've since been woken up many times, even multiple times in a night. I wrote again, saying it's still a problem, and I really don't like to be that neighbor that complains all the time, but I have to sleep. I also tried to speak to her, but she was dismissive and said it wasn't her. I went into the hallway the next time I was woken up to see if I was mistaken, even though it seemed obvious it was coming from directly above me. I could hear them as soon as I opened my door and barely needed to walk up the stairs to be sure it was her. I'm impressed no one else has complained. Wow. You really went investigation mode. Okay. I wrote a note again. Saying I was now sure that it's her and that if they don't stop, I would contact the board. That runs the building so we could find a solution together. She responded she felt surveillanced and that her sex life has nothing to do with me and is none of my business. I agree, but she's the one making it my business by being so loud. She also said that going out into the hallway to check was too far, and she now feels uncomfortable in her own place. That's true. Wait, I forgot. Oh, my glasses. I'm struggling to read, and I was wondering why. The glasses do not match the aesthetic. I understand, but felt the need to check if I was in the wrong, and of course I don't want to falsely accuse her. We both contacted the board, who responded in a shared email that it's a difficult situation because it has to do with such important things as sleep and sex, and to my surprise, didn't tell them to keep it down. To your surprise. While I agree, both are important. Sleep is a necessity. One would argue that the other is also a necessity, but hey, your studying and work won't be ruined by not having loud sex. I'm not stopping them from having it, just want them to consider others. Well, it would be weird if you were stopping them, but okay. Since the email, it seemed like they were trying to be quiet. I've not been woken up nearly as much until last night. we were doing so well. When I was woken up at 2 a.m. by them again. I was almost back asleep when they started it again at 3. After this, it sounded like they were dragging furniture across the floor, and it's clear they're not even trying to be quiet. I don't know what to say, as I feel they just don't care. I feel like the board don't want to tell them to be quiet because of the activity making it awkward. But if I was having loud conversations and stomping on the floor at night to the point of waking up neighbors multiple times, not neighbors plural, but yes, I don't feel that they would have the same response and they would tell me to be quiet. The only difference is the source of the noise. Am I the a-hole? No, because I get how frustrating it can be. Well, I don't get me. I sympathize, but at this point, just get some earplugs. Cause you've sent 3-4 notes, and nothing has changed. You've even contacted the board, so I mean, yeah, it's not ideal, but just get some earplugs. I'm not saying don't complain, but complaining hasn't gotten you anywhere positive, so. Okay, next story. Am I the a-hole because I don't want my half-brothers to come on a trip with my uncle and I? Interesting. I, 15 male, and 3 other older half-brothers, twins, Max and Jake, 18 male, and Shane, 16 male. We have the same mother, but a different father. We have the same mother, but a different father. Max, Jake, and Shane's father is very involved in their life, and they live with him every other week. On the other hand, I have a deadbeat, absent father that I never see. I have no relationship with my half-brother's father. My half-brothers definitely do not treat me the same way they treat each other. That's so sad. I have friends who have older brothers who are supportive and I hang out with them and are there for them, and mine are nothing like that. Jeez, that's really sad. Often when Max, Jake, and Shane are at their dad's, I spend the weekend with my uncle, mom's brother. Because of that, my uncle and I are very close. One of the things we do together is watch NASCAR, since he's made me a fan. It's our thing. As far as I know, my half-brothers don't watch NASCAR. I've never watched a race with them, at least. Next week, Max, Jake, and Shane were supposed to be at their dad's. My uncle was going to take me to the NASCAR race in Atlanta that weekend, just him and I. However, my brother's dad has to go away on some business trip, I guess, meaning they aren't going to their dad's next week. Since they'll be here, my uncle also invited them to come to the Atlanta race with us. I don't want them to come. When they went to Europe or Florida or skiing or New York or any of the other trips they take with their dad, I don't get invited. They go away with him 2 or 3 times a year. Oh, that's not very nice. But see, I can understand why the dad wouldn't take him, because that's not his kid. But I, not being a parent or having siblings, would think that inviting the youngest sibling that is not your kid, or just the sibling that isn't your kid, will also encourage your kids to have a good relationship with this other sibling of theirs. Because imagine if your parent is excluding your sibling just because that's not their biological kid. it's gonna send a signal to the kids that that sibling is different and, not that big of and shouldn't be that big of a part in their lives, I guess. I don't know. I don't have siblings and I am not a parent. So I could be totally wrong, but that's my immediate thought in this scenario. Oof, this is tough. I've never been away because my mom can't afford it. That makes it even worse. Like, even one of the trips, the other dad can't. The dad can't. Oh, that's. I don't like that. This will actually be my first time on a plane. They get everything. This is one thing I had, just my uncle and I, and he just invited them. See, what the uncle is doing is what, in my opinion, the boy's dad should be doing. I don't think the uncle is wrong in inviting them. I think the dad is wrong in not inviting OP. So, this is sad. This is making me really sad. Since they're going, I no longer want to go. And I'm considering telling my uncle that tomorrow. When he told me they were coming, he could see I wasn't happy. He knows how I feel about my relationship with them. See, if just again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but the fact that the OP doesn't want to spend this time with his siblings because they have such a bad relationship, I feel that's being very much reinforced by the boy's dad for some reason or another. Especially because not that you should treat older kids differently, but like he came after all the boys. So you would think that he already developed this nurturing side, being a father, and would extend that to his kid's sibling. I don't know. I feel like the true a-hole in this story is the dad. But alas, let's continue. But he said since they're home, he can't not invite them. It wouldn't be fair. But it's not my fault their dad is going away. I know my uncle can't uninvite them now, so I really think I'd just prefer to stay home and not go. Will I be the a-hole if I told would I be the a-hole if I told my uncle I don't want to go and instead stayed home? There's an update from a day ago, okay? After reading the comments, I realized it wasn't my place to ask my uncle not to invite my brothers, as he is also their uncle. Also, if I chose not to go, I would just be denying myself something I really wanted to do and would upset my uncle, which I didn't want. So I decided to go to the NASCAR race. I also decided against saying anything further at that time. The days before we left, it felt like my brothers were being nicer than usual. So that was cool. That's so sad. Oh, they added me to their group. They added me to their group chat. They have a group chat without the younger brother. Oh no. So it would be easier to keep in contact on the trip. The reason they gave. I roomed with one of my older brothers, Max, in the hotel. On Saturday, we went to the racetrack for the first races. I was getting food when I accidentally cut the line. I thought the people standing in front had already ordered. Someone pointed it out to me, and I went to the right spot in the line. There was a guy in line who was super mad, going on about how I was a little a-hole and only apologized because I got caught, and he walked up to me yelling, "Whoa, dude!" Whoa, no, we don't do that. We don't yell at kids. That's weird. That's weird behavior. And then Max appeared and told the guy to calm down and to stop yelling at me. He kept yelling at me, and Max stood between me and the guy and told him, "If you say another thing to my little brother, we're gonna have a problem." That just warmed my heart. Wait. I can't. Oh my god, why am I crying? I can't begin to fathom how brain chemistry altering this moment must have been for OP. Oh my goodness! Even if it doesn't last. Okay, the brother's being nice, whatever. I know he's always gonna treasure like this moment. So it's so good that he actually went. He powered through and he actually decided to go. Okay. And the guy finally backed off. I've never seen Max as mad as he was right then over that guy yelling at me. And it meant a lot the way he jumped in. Back in our hotel room that night, I was thanking Max again for standing up for me earlier, and he told me as his brother he'd always do that. Ah! It seemed like the right moment, so I finally took advice and opened up to him. I told him, oh my god, am I gonna cry again? I told him that I wish me, him, Jake, and Shane hung out more together, and I like doing more stuff with him and them. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. We talked for a long time about our relationship. Max then talked to Shane and honestly, big up Max. He's stepping up. Look at this character development right there. He talked to Shane and Jake because the next day they both apologized for me having felt left out. When we flew back home, Max had told Jake more of what I said. He asked me if he could first. Jake and I went out on Tuesday and talked about it a bunch, and he kept apologizing for letting me down. I told him it was probably mutual, and I didn't act like I wanted to spend time with them. But he told me he was my big brother, and he should have known that. We've all agreed to do better going forward. Kind of funny that it was a drunk guy yelling at me, which got me to open up in the end. What a happy ending! I'm so happy. This is so good. Wow. Wow. Yeah, this just goes to show that sometimes you might feel like you know, like, he kept saying that, oh, I know that my brothers must know how I feel. But it seemed like they didn't. It seemed like they actually felt, maybe he didn't want to hang out with. Ah, that's such a pleasant end. Am I the a-hole for calling 911 for another person? I mean, should you call 911 for yourself? I, F17, decided to go out with a few friends yesterday. We went to dinner and did what normal teenage girls would do when hanging out. I live in the Northeast, so I'm constantly checking the weather before making plans to go anywhere. The forecast yesterday was clear skies and maybe a little rain in the evening, so we all decided to go out because the weather wasn't that bad. Everything was good until we started our drive home. We drove maybe 45 minutes away from the house to go out, so we were pretty far. Around 9 p.m., it started snowing really bad. I mean, I couldn't see a single thing. We were also on a highway going the opposite direction of the wind. So there was snow/hail blowing directly at us. We ended up having to go 25 miles per hour on the highway. I'm assuming that's slow. I don't drive. We stayed like this until we found the nearest exit about 3 miles up, where we got off and sat in a gas station parking lot until the snow got better. When we got back onto the interstate to go home around 10:30, we found a truck in the ravine facing the opposite direction of traffic. We were headed south and the truck was facing north. We put our hazard light on and pulled into the breakdown lane to call 911, emergency services. A little background about me is my family consists of multiple police officers, firefighters, and doctors, so I fully understand every possibility that could have happened to this driver. He could have been knocked unconscious. There could be a child inside. He could have been ejected from the vehicle. There is an endless list of possible ways he could not have been able to call for help. Since he is probably a good 10 feet into this ravine, it was dark outside with no streetlights. You could not tell there was a truck there unless you were looking. The 911 dispatcher is actively trying to find where we are because we cannot find a mile marker when all of a sudden police officers come up to our vehicle. Okay, I think they skipped a part of the story, but okay. We explained we are on the phone with dispatchers because there's a truck in that ditch, and he looks at us with an annoyed face and a weird kind of bitchy tone and says, "That's none of your business. You girls need to leave." The dispatcher had heard this and was flabbergasted at what the officer just told us. We ended up making it home after 3 hours of going 35 miles an hour down the road. Am I the asshole for getting involved and calling 911 for that truck? How could you possibly? I am sorry for having so many spelling errors, blah, 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 blah. Bro. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, love, stay safe, make good choices. Bye!